Versatile Mage. Chapter 700. Secluded cultivation in Mount Hua. Over 130 kilometers away from the ancient capital, a steep mountain stood tall with a formidable aura. People could feel great pressure standing at its foot. The areas in the south were densely populated, with many mountains connected by relatively flat ranges. In comparison, the mountains here were towering and steep, giving the area a completely different atmosphere. The calamity of the ancient capital did not spread to Mount Hua. The only inconvenience was that the cable car had stopped operating. Mo Fan had wondered if the famous 5 sacred mountains of Taoism were crawling with demon creatures in this world, but it turned out they were still popular sightseeing attractions. Apart from a small number of workers, Mo Fan basically had all of Mount Hua to himself. It did not matter that the cable car was not working. Mo Fan's swift star wolf was outstanding at climbing mountains and crossing ridges. The creature could sprint at full speed even when both sides of the path consisted of steep cliffs. It was extremely thrilling. The paths on the mountains were narrow, with limited footholds, and perfectly straight cliffs leading to bottomless abysses on both sides. Whenever the wind swept past, it felt like they could fall off at any second. The swift star wolf seemed to enjoy the thrill of sprinting along the cliffs. He leapt from the steps straight to the top of a ridge the size of a table. Standing above the clouds, he scanned the surroundings. Green vines and pine trees dangled from the mountain walls. As the swift star wolf landed on the peak, pieces of rock dropped from the cliff into an endless fall. A perfect place to cultivate and become an immortal, Mo Fan said, lifting his gaze and discovering a temple among the steep cliffs. As he thought, his cultivation had declined after using the power of the demon element. Almost every element had dropped a level, leaving Mo Fan with tearless sobs. He had ranked twice in the intermediate level. Luckily, he had collected an enormous supply of soul remnants and soul essences when annihilating the undead army. The demon that had granted him power had come to demand souls from him. These soul remnants and soul essences were all given as sacrifices. At least he did not end up like a caveman as he had at Dongting Lake, killing mindlessly while living in the wild. To explain it scientifically, it was simply returning what he had borrowed. The enormous power Mo Fan obtained after breaking through to the advanced level was like a huge loan from a bank. He was still obligated to pay it back after spending it all. Therefore, the soul remnants and soul essences collected by the little loach pendant from the undead were used to repay the loan. It was impossible to rely on the demon element to save soul essences. Luckily, there were countless undead to kill. Otherwise, he would have had to live like a caveman for a while to pay the loan, or the demon bank would take away his lifespan as a penalty. Mo Fan was well prepared this time, so the side effects were not as troublesome, although he was about to go crazy after learning his cultivation had deteriorated again. Han Ji had granted Mo Fan some resources so he could recover his cultivation as quickly as possible. Hence, Mo Fan was sent to Mount Hua to focus on his training without distractions. If he was diligent, it would not take long to get his cultivation back. The only fortunate thing was that his fire galaxy was still there. It did not degrade back into the fire nebula despite his rank drop. However, the fire galaxy looked extremely dim, like a pool of dead water. Han Ji told Mo Fan it was still possible to recover the advanced fire galaxy. With time and cultivation, to prevent falling back to the intermediate level, Mo Fan decided to go all out to recover his cultivation. Ling, little flame bell lay on Mo Fan's head, enjoying the spectacular scenery. She had not forgotten the dreadful experience in the space of death. As such, she had expressed her determination to work harder and become a good daughter capable of defeating all the bad guys for her daddy. Mo Fan chuckled at her solemn vow. He suddenly recalled the fiery sorceress soul shadow he had seen when he demonized and felt great anticipation. He could not wait to see little Flame Bell's formidable power at the adult phase. Let's work hard together. Woo! Swift Star Wolf cleared his throat and howled, reminding the two of his presence. His loud call echoed among the steep cliffs of Mount Hua. After Mo Fan went into seclusion, the ancient capital finished reconstructing. For thousands of years, undead would roam outside the ancient capital at night. Only magicians strong enough could venture out. But after the calamity, not a single undead was seen within a few hundred kilometers of the city. It was not that the undead had disappeared completely. They simply stayed in their catacombs and tombs, obediently remaining indoors. Many factions were greatly astounded. In the past, the undead of the ancient capital had behaved well and stayed in their territory. After a certain dynasty, they started leaving their area to infringe on human lands. Now, they were being restricted. The resurrection of the ancient king was supposed to be a disaster. Yet, surprisingly, it seemed the undead were now under his control, forced to abide by his rules. It was definitely good news for the ancient capital. The place was famous because of the undead, but if they were completely wiped out, many businesses relying on them would collapse, harming the economy. If the undead went out of control, the city would be in grave danger. As long as the order was maintained, with humans and undead in their respective areas, perfect balance and real peace would prevail. After all, with undead around, the demon creatures of the Qinling Mountains would not dare infiltrate human lands. The ancient capital returned to its bustling life. Time flowed faster when life was busier. Spring came after the snowy season. The ancient capital was restored to its initial appearance before the new year. The lives that were lost were remembered with an empty wine cup. The people moved forward to celebrate a hard-earned new year. Such a pity, Mo Fan is still training hard in the temple on Mount Hua in the snow. I bet he won't leave until he recovers his cultivation. Let's use this empty cup to represent him. Everyone, cheers, said Wang Sanpang with high spirits. Haha, I never expected to spend my new year here. Either way, it's great to be alive, said Zhang Xiaoho. Yeah, how lucky are we to survive two great calamities, agreed Zhao Kunsen. Let's give Mo Fan a toast. Come on, put Mo Fan's picture on your iPad and set it straight. That's right, let's send him our regards. Should we light up 3 incense sticks too? Put his photo on grayscale. Chapter end. Please guys like, comment, share, and subscribe.